And if your phone is dead, you're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, you'll actually pass away.
Yeah.
We're kicking off the summer concert. Summer concerts are a big thing, an increasingly big thing across the Wasatch Front, across the state of Utah. Many, many more music festivals, many, many more outdoor venues than there used to be, and it really is a fun scene. Wide variety of music gets played at these kinds of concerts. You can pretty much see anything on any given evening. And so we're bringing in Eric Cabrera from NewsRadio to talk a little bit about this.
Eric is I feel like you have to do this with Greg Skordas too, and he goes, now full disclosure, I represent one of these families. Eric is like that with music. He's like, full disclosure,
Right.
like you have a career in music outside of your radio
I do.
gig.
Yeah, it was actually DJing that brought me into radio many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
Cool. And so
I think that disclosure is owed to the audience.
Yes,
just so they get a real picture here, because I don't want that conflict to get in the way.
We started going to more and more concerts during the summer several years ago.
Yeah.
When we kind of reached a point where we had a little more flexibility in our lives. It was a little easier to afford the tickets. It was a little easier to not have to be home with the kids, So we started doing this. But I quickly learned that there's some things that you need to know. And if you don't know them when you show up at your first few concerts, you're going to learn them pretty quickly.
Listen,
you're a pro.
my goal is basically, if we can help Utahns today remember festival survival skills, I've done my part.
Listen to that.
Festival survivor skills.
Festival survival skills.
That's
Okay,
it.
so Ethan's going to be there too, and as we mentioned during the break, that we are the unks of KSL News Radio.
That's right.
And Ethan is going to be at this thing. I would assume just like sweating and heavily breathing, but also wanting to have a good time. I'm just saying, how can we get Ethan to have the best time possible at this? I'm not trying to take a shot at you. What I'm saying is that
You're not, because it feels like
concerts have changed over the years.
Absolutely.
For people like me, I do the thing where I go, oh, that's not for me. I'm not young anymore. That's what I do. But Ethan he braves the crowd, man.
What are the survival skills here?
I think, one thing that when I talk to a lot of people I've met who put on these shows, right, even behind the scenes, it's amazing to see or hear from them and how much they say they see the same mistakes every single show, every single year, which is, for example, not looking at like bag policy, right, and understanding what you can and can't bring in, right? That's the biggest thing. I think we've all been there, whether it's Delta Center or wherever, right, where we're waiting in huge lines just to get through the door because for example, someone tries to bring in literally a full bar in a cooler.
Okay.
Right.
Or another one I heard.
This is not Disney. You cannot do that.
Yeah. No, you cannot do that. Another one was inflatable furniture. Someone wanted to bring in some.
It was like a 3-person inflatable couch, right? Which you might think to yourself, this is smart because look, it's just all folded up in this one little thing. They'll never know. Right. And they're like,
But
hey,
they
man,
do.
My favorite thing. So you bring up the bag policy thing, and like, if you're at a big venue like across the street here at Delta Center, I can't tell you how many times I've watched people make the walk of shame, like, and they're so distraught.
Yes.
So you're telling me I can't carry this? I'm a woman. I cannot carry this in there. Or you got some guy who goes, okay, so that's cool. So she can bring that in because she's breastfeeding. I can't walk in with my medication bag. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
And you're like, okay.
Now,
this
if
is
you're
not what we're talking about.
If you're not a baller like Ethan, right, and have a weekend pass, right, where you can go all weekend, right. If you only have a day pass, for example, something I found out is there's no re-entry if you just have a day pass.
Oh, okay.
So the reverse is true too, right? Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
So prepare for that. Make sure you have your extra phone charger. Make sure, because once again, your tickets are on there. That's how you
forgot
call
about
an
the phone
Uber if you're drinking and you need a ride home. And if your phone is dead, you're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, you'll actually pass away.
Yeah.
They'll bury you at the fair park out
They're
there.
like, what happened? Well, his phone died about 2 days in, and then the Uber never showed up, and then he passed away.
He lives in Rose Park now.
That's right.
He just lives in the neighborhood now.
I think the other thing too is like fashion versus survival. Sometimes, obviously, especially my kids who are 20-something years old, they do it for TikTok. They do it for the gram, right? As much as they go for the artists. And I think that's the other side of it, right? Like sometimes fashionable loses in these 3-day events.
Right.
Yes.
Right? You want to go comfy. You want to make sure that you're comfortable. And the other thing too is obviously, I know we say this a lot, but man, hydration, right?
Yeah.
And I've been to shows where they run out of bottled water.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to those shows.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Not for you though. If you're there working it, then you're like have your stash that you hoard in the corner. You're like I start watching people
I
go
don't know
down.
where all the water
Oh
went.
shoot! I don't know what's happening here.
that's right.
Last year at Kilby, they had these big, huge water stations that they were giant tanks of water, and they kept them full. You know?
Now that you can.
So
you can
I'm confident they're not going to run out.
That-
and it's
Good.
free. And it's free.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, I would hope that they would be. And you know what? The weather this weekend actually is going to hold up to the point.
gonna cool
You're
off
not
a
looking at
little
like
bit.
it's going to be a 90-degree
right. Yeah,
it's
situation.
gonna
So
cool
that
off a
should
little
that should work in your favor as well.
So my move, there are no chairs at the Kilby Block Party, which is common for these kinds of outdoor festivals.
And no inflatable ones either.
But there are like benches around where they have food and things like that. And there are a few little places you can sit. There's some curbs and random places. And so my move is I'm going to basically spend 3 days moving between the different places to sit because I get self-conscious. I don't want people to think that I'm like sitting there hogging it all day. So you kind of got to move around. You got to keep moving.
I also want to bring up the example of like we all sometimes have that friend at the show that doesn't know how to pace themselves, right? Sometimes. That's also where it's important to have like a plan, right? And make sure that like, okay, if we're going to break apart or whatever, let's meet after each act at so-and-so because that way too, if phones die, things like that. I've heard from other people I've asked that they say that's the way to do it is have like a game plan knowing that, okay, if someone loses their phone or they get a little too inebriated, let's meet here so we don't lose each other.
Yeah.
Take care of one
So
another.
That's very good.
Is there like a certain go-to for you, like of a portable charger? Like, do you look at something and you go, hey, because I've tried different things that I feel like it doesn't matter what it is, but if you're there for a long extended period of time somewhere, even if you have a thing plugged into the pocket, like I don't love that whole setup of like a giant thing plugged into I'm already looking like an old dude at these things
I love
anyway.
the ones that are really fat and get really hot.
That's I want it to be in my back pocket and maybe bolt. I want it to kind of like burst at the seams almost. That battery that I bring.
Alex, I think you haven't shopped it for a battery in like
So
10
they're-
years. 'cause
okay, so they're thinner
very
now.
thin magnetic ones.
I hate both of you,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
Who's the old man now, Alex?
Now I brought in my portable it goes over your shoulders battery pack. Okay, fine.
your battery powered shawl.
I just haven't had to do like the long-term charging thing someplace, but it terrifies me that the idea of like your kid, for example. I know my kids' phones will die at something like this. It'll happen. It just happens. Yeah. So Eric, last minute one for you to be able to tell us how to survive these things or how Ethan's going to survive.
How am I going to survive? Any last tips?
I think the other tip to what we were saying is basically maybe put your phone away while the artist is performing and enjoy it in
for
person, and then your battery will last
You're so
longer.
selfish.
For sure. Well, and you know what? I actually walked away last year becoming a really surprised fan of George Clanton. I was
Okay.
not expecting it, but I was like, I'm just going to watch this kid.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. I was really, really amazed. So it's worth it. It's worth stretching yourself a little bit.
Absolutely.
Put down the phone and watch.
Eric Cabrera, Carousel News Radio, nice enough to impart all of his music show wisdom, and on top of the fact that he's an actual reporter, on top of all of that, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to this. So, Eric, thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, man.